Right. Oh my god.
I told him he could.
Okay.
Ellie was just telling me she was watching you on MCAT the other night.
I wonder which show it was.
She said it was one where she said you talked about your life and you talked a lot about Iris and about Bo Diddley and...
Oh yeah, that was part of the movie. They're starting it up.
Oh, I know.
But she was very moved.
What's going on?
Well, that's good.
I totally forgot a little stash box. Do you have any little boxes I can put my feet in?
Yeah. I think actually.
I didn't want to try to carry mine through TCS.
You don't want to carry it through anything.
But I got...
What's going on?
This is the Iris wall.
All our bison time? Yeah. It's hard not to.
Here's a camera.
Oh.
China can't make some.
Set it up and then...
Yeah, well, they make everything.
I like the wicker chair.
Yeah, why don't you sit down and
It's
look at
a wicker chair. I'll give it back to her. Wait, Mom, how's your arm? She's not even wearing a cast. I told him he could.
Oh, okay.
But you can sit down too.
I need to get a picture of you guys.
I like your hair, Elvis.
Thank you.
He just did it.
And you, I do too.
Is this big enough?
And you've been
No, but that'll work.
you're still growing too.
I don't want
She
to
might rent it out or something.
Rent it out.
Lease it out. Or...
Yeah.
take pictures. I'm not very good.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
You're real good at pictures.
You should see Dorian, Tim. He's so fat. He's like fatter than his knees was.
Serious?
Yeah, the way
gonna
he
get
gets around
diabetes.
on the ramps, he doesn't like walk down. He like rolls down.
Okay,
He'll just
well.
like, and it's like you think he does it on accident, but like that's how he does
I
it.
wonder where Bambi is. Wait
Wow.
until you see a few of our cats.
Excuse me.
Did you get the cookies, babe? Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Say hi and goodbye.
Hi. Goodbye.
Dad, I think they've had enough camera for today.
Okay.
Have it out of the sling. I hold it like this.
That goddamn, my son sent me up. These are high potency.
Good. Could you
I can already
do
feel.
you want to sit in that chair?
Okay.
Only reason being is the light's too
I'd
bright.
be better off dead than what I go through every day.
Yeah.
Can't get in a rest home. I found that out. They're all full.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing going because I wouldn't put a dog in a rest home.
That new one down here, dog, says it's only built for 700 people and there's over 1,000 in it. That's the one down there by the hotel, a 7-story hotel.
Oh, okay.
See that paper? They only give them guys another year or so with Chinese close in on them, but the goddamn Chinese ain't going to get no money out of them, just like our government.
Chinese are pretty much going to get what they want. What do you think about anything?
It's like it's the same thing as the rise and fall of the Roman Empire.
Well, exactly. We've got, you know, it's really kind of interesting that now we've got 2 wild running free rivers, which is nice, but having a
Just
dam
what I
was
told my boss.
flood control.
I said, I don't want to work anymore, for Christ's sake.
So now what's going to
Because
happen?
the government gets all the goddamn money.
Oh
I
yeah,
said, the only reason you hire me is because you can't find any dumb son of a bitch that wants to work for $10 an hour. I said, the only reason you get is some drunk or somebody that's had it.
so yeah, I understand that.
Besides, have to work alone, and that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it is.
You got a brand new TV. That don't help you any when you're working.
No, it don't. Back up a little bit.
All I need is a pair of shoes like that.
Well, let's go buy some. I'll take you over to Walmart. We can get some. This is where these came from.
I've been cutting those toenails, but my foot feels pretty good. Yeah. Can't find a podiatrist, they've all died, you know, they've all quit. Hey, all these goddamn doctors I used to know, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Every damn one of them. They know what's going to happen. Hey, that damn outfit from Libby, one guy finally admitted that they knew what was going on.
Of course.
They signed their penitentiary award.
That's
Yeah, that
right.
one guy that worked for him.
Yeah. Excuse me.
It's in today's paper.
Yeah, I saw the headline. I didn't read it.
Of course, hell. So my dad talked about it when I was growing up. They got a cemetery bigger than Chicago in a town about the size of Polson.
Well, they had a vermiculite mine.
Hey,
There's a place down
and
on
they're all millionaires. I think they told the
well,
truth.
in near Trout Creek. There's a vermiculite mine. You could buy vermiculite in garden centers. It was working as they use it for some kind of a mulch for plants, and they use it for the insulation for houses.
I see. Last 2 weeks I got in total 70 hours. That's I go to work at midnight and work till 6. And I got a bed there to sleep most of the time. Just gotta change that machine.
Yeah, well, that's good that you're probably the only guy smart enough to run it.
I'll tell you what, when you get to my age, I'm too damn old to hold on any job period. Because your damn mind is gone.
Yeah.
You can tell that by talking to me.
No, you're all right.
Just like that damn thing in there. What is that drain there is plugged up and I can't get anybody to fix it. You know.
Well, you know what you need to go do?
This son of a bitch is if
You-
you ask them to work, their eyes start to go blink.
Why don't you get some? There's stuff
I gotta
that you,
take that sink out and fix that thing.
well, you might be able to clean it up.
The
You might,
water overflowed. That's because of that drain.
but you might be able to put some enzymes with.
And hey,
They-
tell the plumber. Hell, he's so damn busy now. I can't get him to.
Well, you can get some stuff that'll eat
Yeah.
up the blockage. It's-
I gotta take that sink up and put a new. That's probably a piece of paper down there.
Probably. Why don't you
But
just?
just because I shampooed that carpet,
Do you have?
and I put a fan in there.
Do you have a small snake?
Yeah. I got a big fan that dried it out overnight.
Do you have a snake?
Damn
Just
full.
well, you could. We could get some bacteria and enzymes and put it in there. That'll just
Full
eat.
about
That'll
5
eat that
years,
stuff up.
Age, old age. You know what? Like I told you, anybody that ain't licensed, they're closing them up. That's what closed this up. They wouldn't tell me, but I found out by talking to the guy next door. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with the little farts.
Well, right now they're killing us off with the chemtrails. You see those little parallel chemtrails that aren't contrails? They're chemtrails because it's coming out of the engine instead of off of the wingtips,
Well,
and they're running in parallel lines, and they're spreading them in the clouds and so forth. It's actually adding ultraviolet blockers in the heavy metals that are contained in there. That helps shield us and the Earth from the ultraviolet rays, which are increased caused by the proximity of the Earth every 10,000 years to the sun. The orbit of the Earth gets closest to the sun. We're at that point right now. And the sun's been controlling our weather. I mean, the only control man has is like from HARP, that parabolic array of low frequency radio waves that they can use to heat up the ionosphere to alter the path of the jet stream. And I think the reason everybody's getting sick is because of all of the contamination of the rain clouds, that the precipitation that we're breathing here. Everybody I know is sick. I hear people hacking and coughing. Hell, I'll be walking around outside and somebody will be going cough real, not even covering their mouths. Everybody's sick. And I think it's a side effect of the blockage for the ultraviolets.
I got Medicaid, not Medicare, Medicaid. I got full coverage. Guess what? It's only good for 3 months.
Well, you already have Medicare, don't you?
I said, what do you do then? You go on if you can get in Medicare, but it's full. See, the government is cutting down Medicare because they haven't got any money.
Because the Democrats run it.
All those crooks.
Those crooks, yeah, exactly. They run it. The Pelosi Congress used the money.
And of course, like I told you,
Pelosi and Dingy Harry are the ones that wrote this stimulus package, which doesn't do anything but doesn't do any stimulus at all. It's just listening to Rush on the radio, and Obama told everybody that the president of Caterpillar was hiring, and the president of the Caterpillar Corporation said, we're laying people off. He lied just to get the stimulus bill passed through. Imagine that. Our politician lying to us about something like that. Isn't that totally amazing? Have you ever heard of any more politicians and Dodd, who got the most, about 93 million or 130,000 or whatever, a contribution to his campaign from AIG. And now we got Schumer telling the people that you're not going to keep your bonuses, because if you get the bonuses, we're just going to tax the bonuses to what you receive. I mean, this is all the Democrats could do, is tax and spend. And they're talking about infrastructure. Well, for infrastructure to be actually changed, companies like Caterpillar and construction companies are the ones that they're going to have to use, and that's going to cost a lot of money, and that's going to cost more money than they have now. But it's an interesting concept. But when you got that Senator Dodd, who got 100,000 for campaigns, it's like Rush says, he's the best politician that you can't sell him. He doesn't sell himself, and he doesn't have anybody buying him. But if things go south, he does what he can to help the people that give him the campaign money. But he's still on number one, so if they have to, he'll attack them, and that's what he's doing right now. Schumer's attacking the people, saying, if you're going to get your bonus, we're going to just take it back in taxes. And I found out what a retention bonus is. It's basically when they got somebody they're going to lay off, but they want them to work until the actual layoff, and then when things come better, they'll probably hire them again. That's what that retention bonus is. That's to give people money to actually survive after they're laid off. It's like a minuscule amount of the money that's gotten given. But basically, I think the stimulus package is basically, remember you had Vice President Gore going through the government and we're changing the government. Yeah, they're converting it to socialism. They're changing the government. The last 30 years, we've had so much socialistic crap running down our throats between the NEA and trying to turn the boys into little girly men for 30 years incrementally. And the guy that was a socialist that ran every year for president, I was surfing the net. A friend of mine had an email, and the guy, this guy that had run as a socialist and communist candidate, back in the day, you probably knew who he was. I forgot his name. But basically, liberalism is a euphemism for communism. And he figures, and he said, well, we're going to just take this without even firing a shot. It's all just going to fall into our laps because the people aren't going to quite understand that it's incremental, and and that's what's been happening. And then they attack Rush Limbaugh because he's smart enough to see through their BS. And basically one of the reasons they attack Rush
Oh,
Limbaugh.
goddamn son, you know what he said?
Is
If I
because-
could drive down there, I could have a basement apartment, and he'd pay for all the heat and the showers. And I said, yeah. And I got that fucking wife of yours, that goddamn Athenian bastard. She's worse than those Muslims. She treats him just like a dog. Yeah, I know goddamn well he's in worse shape than I am mentally. He got that house done. I said, well, you haven't got any money yet, have you? No. They're like everybody else. I tell you that the only reason they got through is because they know you. They're con artists.
Yeah, they are.
I said, nobody has any money, for Christ's sake.
No.
If they do,
They're hanging
goddamn
on to it.
liar.
And they're hanging on to it.
Show me somebody's got money. He's probably got a double-barrel
So
shotgun.
Dennis Washington's got money. If I was him, I'd be buying up all the best stocks that are down low right now. Because he's got the money to buy them, and when they go up, it'll increase his net worth completely.
Gas is up to $2 again. Today. I don't know what it is elsewhere.
Hold on. Really?
I filled up 2 days ago. It took me $21 to fill up a 10-gallon tank.
Oh, Jesus.
Have you filled up lately?
I've been filling up and topping off. I have to remember to do that. Oh, yeah, I can maybe zoom into.
There's something wrong with this system.
It's $191. Actually, it's cheaper than what I got. It's $198 where I
Paper
live.
gas is back to New York is selling for $36 a barrel yesterday.
Oh, yes. And how come
Nobody's buying it.
So how come we're having
They raise the rate.
so why are our gas prices so high? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Because they're screwing us. That's why.
It isn't.
I'm going to
Think
stop.
this is ever going to get straightened out
I will, but right
in my
now
lifetime?
I think it will. Let me shut my I'm going to shut the camera off for a minute, okay?
The same in the parking lot and was there for 4 days.
What's
That's
that?
for brand new Jeep.
Well, that's nice. Take this cord and put it.
But I don't expect you to tell me the truth. Twice.
I really think that, I think that you asked me if I thought I knew when this was going to end. I have a feeling it's just like when Jerry Spence, that lawyer from Colorado, they asked him one time how long the O.J. Simpson trial was going to last, and he said, well, when the lawyers are good and done, in other words, when they've milked him out of all of his money, they'll end the court case. And right now, the government is pretty much milking us for the money, and I think it could go either way. Like they're trying to get this stupid socialism crap that didn't work for Europe, but they're trying to get it for this, and it's probably part of this whole New World Order crap anyway, because they want to basically put down the population of the world to 500 million so they can control us. And when they talk about Ebola and AIDS coming out of the rainforest, I believe those came out from the Cheltenham and some of our biochemical discoveries. And I think they tested them out there on the African tribes because they don't really care about the people over there. There's a lot of natural resources that are there for the pickings, and they want to thin out as much of the people as they can. And I think that
George went to all the restaurants are closed up around here.
Well, hell yeah, who wants to? I wouldn't want to even go to a restaurant. Everybody's hacking and
down there, and
coughing.
that old gal took me an hour to get the same damn breakfast I usually get in 10 minutes. During the weeks are worse.
So what's open
Yeah.
besides McDonald's?
Jesus. What? God, please, that. Well, maybe if I keep eating there, food will kill me.
Yeah, you can't eat that every day. That's right, because the guy actually did. Some guy actually.
I noticed
There was
all
a-
those old guys disappeared who used to come in there.
Well,
They're all dead, I found out.
oh, that's too bad.
Anybody eating that goddamn place, the only reason you eat there is your wife probably could get your ass out the door.
No, she fixes me food if I want it.
You're gonna get it too.
No, actually, that's all I buy is coffee because she's usually making me egg on a raft or French toast.
Where the hell
Okay.
where do you get a good meal?
Ruby's?
It's the damn facts all the time now.
Yeah, it's like about a
'Cause all
five.
these restaurants are closed out here. On the strip.
That's good for the. Well, that's great for the people that are still in business. Well, I think they found that it was cheaper to just have no food at all because there's a lot of waste in food that dissipates the profit when you have to throw away food. And it's also a cost factor and a labor factor. So they want the people that just want to gamble anyway. So when they got the liquor license, they can sell the booze, which makes more profit than the food anyway. And get people can buy the booze and at a cheap price or free, which if you're gambling, if the real gamblers they stay sober, the guys that play live poker and stuff, they're not going to drink till it's over. But I think that everything's going to eventually come out all right, because the people of America are very smart and very hardworking, and I have to be optimistic and keep a positive mental attitude, and it's like Larry the Cable Man says, get her done, and the people of America get her done when left to get her done. We've been that way since the country was founded by the founding fathers, and we broke away from the English colonialism. That was a dangerous time. The people that signed those documents were wanted and were going to get exterminated by the British forces and the British Secret Service, which has been working for the monarchy since the monarchy started. That was a dangerous time. Those people gave their lives, risked their lives for us. And every time we have a war, our people that are fighting for us here, for our way of life. You got the Muslims all over the world that want to have Sharia law, which is basically, okay, if you get caught stealing something, we're going to cut off your frickin' hand. If you get caught again, we'll cut off the other hand. If you do something wrong, you're going to get stoned, you're going to get beheaded. That's stuff like from the Middle Ages. But that's what happens under Sharia law. And what's happened is there's been an input of people from the Muslim countries that have moved into this country here. And I read a document that was in an email a friend of mine said that this was something that the people at the time of when the hostages were taken in Iran, some of the conservative mullahs and so forth in Iran developed this plan, and they've had Islamic people that are actually not even really intentional. They have emigrated them through Europe, and a bunch of them here, like Flint, Michigan, and so forth. And they're not all bad. Most of them are decent, hard-working. The majority of them are decent, hard-working, peaceful people like we are. But everybody has a few wild people that aren't, like the fundamentalist Muslims that believe that we should have Sharia law. They seriously believe that. I mean, and more people have died in this world over religion since the time began, and it's like what we're dealing with here is something very.
You're up for glasses on the floor.
Oh, that's all right. What the hell?
Right there.
Okay, what?
These damn glasses, I wear them and I can't see. These are those $5.
Yeah, they're better than the other ones, aren't
over
they?
here.
Yeah. But I think that this country is run by the people that are you got the left coast and you got the east left coast, and the rest of it's called flyover country. which is where the majority of the people of America that are hardworking and and
Well, my regular glasses are probably right around. I can't find them.
yeah. But what do you think? I mean, you got wisdom. You've been around for a long time. You've been through the Depression. Interestingly enough, Rush Limbaugh was talking about the value of property being way up in the trillions, with multiple trillions during Reagan's power and after Reagan's power, and it's kind of interesting to see how that's worked out. And basically, we've got this progressive liberalism, call it what you want. It's all a euphemism for socialism, communism, whatever you want to call it. They are trying to attack the people that are the achievers and the people that have money, and then transfer the wealth of the people that have actually earned it to the people that aren't going to earn anything, that expect an entitlement anyway, and they've been promised an entitlement. So that's what this whole thing is, a redistribution of the wealth. And that's like when you hear Obama in the beginning saying, well, we're going to spread the wealth. Yeah, they're spreading the wealth that they've confiscated from the people that have earned it. And that's the problem. There's just too much, and we've become a nation of whiners. The education system has turned our male children into girly boys. They've had a feminization of the American male, and basically, and I don't mind diversity. I think that cultural diversity is a good thing. Actually, you have cultural diversity. People grow up with a proper attitude about what's going on in the world and how people are, because there is a difference in the culture of everybody. And people are drawn to this country like magnets because, like Glenn Beck says, the reason there's so many people moving to America is because everywhere else sucks. And he's right. Everywhere else does suck. I mean, we can talk about our government and everything. The majority of the countries in this world, we'd wind up getting shot if you say anything bad about the power structure, which is usually some dictator. And we're a country that was founded on freedom, and we need to.
Sounds like those bankers over there. You know, they got a loan from the government.
Oh, sure they did.
The problem is you can't use it for cars or houses.
So it's not doing any good, is it?
And I said, well, how the hell are you going to get that money out? He said, you're telling us the same thing, but we never listen to you. I said, that's the trouble with it. Nobody ever listens. I'm telling you, your goddamn bank is going down the tube. Our government's going to run out of money. Then all these son of a bitches, I call them freeloaders, are going to get the axe. I went through it. In 29, I got the axe. My dad got the axe. Everybody in the family got an axe. But you know, you have to tell them about it because they don't even understand what the hell you're talking about. That depression in 1929 was a bitch, and we're going through a worse one now. Well, I said, one of these days, when the government refuses to send you money, what are you going to do? You're going to push our cars in the Missoula River and make a run for it. That's exactly what I'm going to do, but I can't move fast. Hey, go over there. And I was in there, and I didn't see a customer all afternoon. Boy, I think they're crazy opening a bank.
They got another bank too.
3 banks downtown, they told me.
Really? Which ones?
But
What's the name of their bank anyway?
Them.
What's the name of their bank?
Community.
Community Bank?
They have 4 banks in Missoula.
I'll be damned.
Then they got 3 of them up on the flathead in Ronan and Polson area.
Huh.
See, they got all that easy money, and they went and built banks.
Well, that makes sense.
And then they bought that property my sister owned from what's his name? They paid $100,000. He picked that up for $45,000 from my sister totally.
Really?
I'm glad to see it. At least I'll be able to hire some labor because all these bastards are going to find out what I'm going through. I know what. I went through 3 of them. There's no answer to it.
No, there isn't.
So look at two of those companies that got their money, they paid off their executives over $1 million in bonuses.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
You can't beat them. And I'm going to go down and live with my brother's wife.
Yeah, you should.
Got those two kids are going to school. They've got 2 more years.
Well, she's younger than you are, isn't she? You know, in the Old Testament, you're supposed to take care of the wife of your brother if your brother dies.
It says, listen, gee, you got good credit. If you need somebody, we'll loan it to you. We got a deal. And how much the interest? At your age, your interest is practically nothing. The government, they have these special loans for old guys that have been in the military and cut off. See, they tore up my military card. I knew that when I went, the goddamn military. No wonder we can't win a war.
Well, actually, we're doing pretty good.
It's true to everybody in the military, too.
Actually, they've done a pretty good job of calming down all
I
right.
imagine borrowing money, then they'd end up owning this place and kick me out.
But Vice President Cheney's got it right when he says that Obama sending the wrong signals by all the crap that he's doing. We're going to shut down the detention center, and waterboarding is torture when it really isn't torture. It's simulated drowning. Everybody in the special forces has to go through that, and it's a way of intimidating some of these hard ass fundamentalist Muslims. And everybody in the media is whining about somebody having 35 seconds of terror without actual. Torture doesn't work. They'll tell you anything you want to hear. And waterboarding is a simulated drowning, and so they get to people. And guess what? The media's whining about that, but with the true torture, when you see somebody on one of those raghead fundamentalist groups have captured on the internet, and you see them beheading them, and not doing it in the way that the beheading was done in the old days. They had these big, huge, sharp axes, which is 1, 2, 3. But now they just kind of basically saw somebody's head off while they're alive, and they put it on the internet for the other whacked out fundamentalists that think that they should go back to the 1700s or early or whatever. I mean, it's a crock of bullshit. And as far as I'm concerned, Muhammad got his money from robbing caravans, and when he was in power, he married an 8-year-old girl. So he's like a crooked child molester, as far as I'm concerned. And we're dealing with this bullshit, and we got all these left-wing media in America.
Back son of a bitch. The president ahead of him was a sharp guy. He got us into this mess, but at least he got rid of that goddamn vulture over there. But the point is, how the hell is this nigger going to straighten this mess out? He can either play basketball or quit now. They got him on already. They find out about 4 of his girlfriends, and they got him in the paper.
Oh, that guy, the Charles Barkley. Is that Charles Barkley?
Do you honestly think he can get this country back on his feet?
I don't think he wants to.
How the hell is he going to do it?
I don't think
Our
he wants
money's
to.
working.
I think he wants to turn this country into a socialist. There was a line from one of his books that he said that I read on the internet. There was a line from one of his books that said, "When the winds of change happen, I'm backing the Muslims." That's what he said, wrote in his book. And some people have said Afro-American possibly, but mostly Arabian African, because he's got a lot of his in-laws, and there's still some dispute on whether he's actually a citizen or not. If they haven't ginned up his birth certificate, or if he actually was born here, because he could have been born in Indonesia, or he could have been born in Kenya. Who knows? It doesn't matter. I really feel proud that America was able to vote for a black person for president. I sang "A Change Is Gonna Come" was like Sam Cooke. I was born by the river in a little tent, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. And that was written by Sam Cooke. And that's and right now the change has come. We've elected a free election, a black man for president, and I'm proud of our country for being able to do that. And the change has come. And there's a lot of people in the civil rights community that went through a lot of pain. Back in the 60s, you can see the water hoses and the clubbings of black people just wanting to get that they were okay to go in the military and fight for us, but they weren't okay to actually live here and have the same rights we have. And thanks to Martin Luther King and a few other people that really, and Jesse Jackson, he was part of that too. They fought for their freedom in the Selma marches. They had people beating on them, and they had people taking a chance. They had white Jewish students from the eastern part of the country, in the eastern colleges, riding freedom buses down through the Ku Klux Klan infested southern counties and southern states, and they were taking. There was a couple of them got murdered. There was this black kid that got murdered by the Klan just because he whistled at a white girl or something, because she whistled at him or flirted with him, and that was in Life. I remember seeing the picture in Life magazine of the two sheriffs that just sort of looked the other way. I mean, there was a song by Josh White, "Strange Fruit," which is basically the people that got lynched. There was a lot of lynchings going on, and probably there's some still going on. Who knows? But I think that Obama is his own man in a lot of ways, and I really think that he's got the capability and the intelligence to take this country out of this malaise. I really do. I'm giving him credit on that. I think that if he's left to his own devices, I think that he does have a sense of what needs to be happening here, because after he got elected, he pissed off a whole lot of the far left, because they all thought all this happy horse shit was going to be going on, and he sort of had to pacify the left, because Pelosi's the one that wrote this. Pelosi and Dingy Harry, and Dingy Harry is the one that's owned by the mafia in Las Vegas. They've got records of that, and they don't really talk about it. The Republicans don't have hearings to tear people apart like the Democrats do. The Democrats will have hearings and tear the crap out of you and wreck your reputation, whether it's true or not, just so they can get their FaceTime on TV. And it's sad. The state of our country is and the media is basically shills for the left wing, and they don't have to pay for PR. They get free PR from all these assholes. But what's funny is no wonder the frickin' papers, the American people aren't stupid. The far left actually, in some cases, is in the minority. But the people aren't stupid. They know exactly what's going on, and that's been reflected in the downfall of a lot of these papers. They're going south because nobody believes them. They laugh at them. They know it's all bullshit. I really strongly believe, and I'm counting on this, that Obama is going to be his own man and going to.
Down there, I wonder what she did with that $5 million. She bought the Smithsonian stock, and she gets a check every month for as long as she lives, because $5 million of interest on that alone is more than she's getting.
Mm-hmm.
But I figure that deal could go broke too, because everything else is going the same way.
Well, I know.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 bankruptcies a day. 2 of the biggest banks in New York have went under.
They started a whole goddamn thing. It was a deck of cards, and it was like a table covered with dominoes. One falls, and they all fall, boom, 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 like that. You see people setting up dominoes to fall with hundreds of dominoes, and then they'll start them, and they filmed stuff like that, and what happens is that's what happened with the stock market. Well, we had people buying stops. Hold on, something's beeping. I'm not sure.
Well, just like all these houses I built on borrowed money. I get through, they pay me off, and when I got through paying everybody off and the interest on the money, I didn't have a goddamn dime. In other words, I worked for free. That's all these houses in this block here and over there. The goddamn banks and loan agencies would screw you out of all your money.
Well, sure they did.
Just like you're getting that company, I know them, they just threw. That friend of theirs is living in my daughter's basement. They promised him this job. He goes up to Kalispell and they fixed it up and he got fired. And now they're working on you, but I don't think you can understand what's going on because it takes somebody who doesn't have their head up their ass like, and I have my head up my ass, but they knew all the angles. Just like General Motors and Chrysler and Ford. Why didn't Ford take that money and give it
because
to
they didn't need it. They had the money. They didn't want to be beholden to the government. They didn't need that. I mean, they needed it, but they chose not to take it.
That's a company.
Chrysler's getting money from Europe.
In England bought them. They got $547 million in cash. Now, don't tell me. They build the best. You've never owned one of their goddamn cars. You don't even know it.
What, Chrysler's? I did. I had a Plymouth Fury Police Interceptor package. A '67 Plymouth Fury was the best car I ever had. It was a Police Interceptor package, Plymouth. And I think I had another Chrysler, but I know that's for damn sure. I paid $200 for it.
I noticed General Motors isn't talking. A week ago, they said they were going to notify the government they are on bankruptcy. I noticed they haven't notified him yet.
No, they haven't. But they had a recall on some of these new cars for some kind. I forgot what it was about, but I was watching Fox News.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Ford because they build, if they sell cars for a realistic price, they'd be selling cars.
Well, the trouble is it costs a lot to build the cars. You know why they're overpriced? Because we got the United Auto Workers Union.
Goddamn Dodges are going up every day.
Well, everything's going up. They got the United Auto Workers Union. They have to pay off all that. They can't even make enough money to get under a profit. They're lucky to be able to even get what they can for a car.
I need a goddamn truck I can haul 2 cords of wood.
And the UAW
He's
has
going to
been
move over there as soon as his lease is up. He's moving over there.
Auto workers have been making more money than anybody else.
They have to rent that department out to some goddamn white guy, and they're worse than those fucking Indians I had in there.
I wish you wouldn't call them those fucking Indians anymore.
I don't know any white guys that have any money. But they won't tell you the truth.
Indians are good people. You should. They're very intelligent people.
My poor sister, I think she's worried about something.
They're smarter than we are. They're smarter than whites. When I
take her some groceries,
I know.
She reaches out and grabs the bag, and that's it.
That's
I
it.
used to go in there and talk with her.
Well, that's good. At least you're giving her food and getting her
I guess
food.
if I had $5 million in the bank or in the Smithsonian, I'd be worried too.
Yeah.
Of course, she's still getting money from her ex-husband. They had 4 houses that they sold in a summer home up on Lake Arrowhead. Then she has stock in that big oil company, Standard Oil.
Well, that's a good. Oil stocks are pretty damn. They fluctuate, but
number 2, she never made a mistake of getting married. That's the biggest positive. You sign your death warrant when you do that.
That's true. Well, she fell in love with one man, and she stayed with one man mentally, and when he passed away, that eliminated all possible hope that she might have gotten back with him, which she probably might have had in the back of her mind, or at least in the subconscious. And actually, you asked me why she was so moping around, and I explained. I think that as far as I could understand that. She knew that it was over between her and her husband, and her husband got killed by this speeding driver when his rig got T-boned down in Henderson, Nevada, and he was a smart guy. My dad sold bandit deals, and they used bandit deals to tie together those huge cables that they built the Golden Gate Bridge with, and every other suspension bridge.
Yeah, hey, how do you count? For 3 days this week, the stock market went one day 300 and 274 the next day.
It's because the people.
How do you account for this?
Because the people who buy
I'd like to
stocks
figure out-
and trade stocks, and instead of,
come
if you just buy a stock, Charles Schwab says, if you buy a stock, if you own a stock, just keep it, sit on it, don't be selling it, just let it go back and forth and back. If it and if it goes down to a lesser value, you can deduct that from your capital tax. If it goes to a higher one eventually, because stocks eventually. The problem with stocks is people are like sheep. It's like a school of fish. You know, you see the school of fish, how they all move at the same time. It's like a mental telepathy thing between all the fish. They all think at the same time. Well, the stock market is the same way. The people that get into it, they vote for this and they vote for that, and then some little thing, like if they say, oh, this is going to happen, it's positive, it'll go up. And then if something negative comes down, it'll go down. What people need to do is just hang on to their stock. If I had some money right now, I'd be buying some preferred stocks that are right down on the bottom. Because if they do go completely flat, you're not losing that much money. But once things keel out and shake out and become back to normal, they're going to be back up again. I'll bet you Dennis Washington's buying stock up right and left, picking out what he wants to buy that's a bargain.
I wonder if the government is. I have a feeling the government is giving that stock market money, otherwise you couldn't do that.
Well, there's actually been in some of those investment banks. That's been their function. There's been like a damper on the ups and downs of the market, because to keep the market actually functioning, they have to have the money. And so they've been like a governor, like a centrifugal governor, you know, that you would slow down a wheel with when you access that with a clutch. I think that those banks that have the money, they have money, and when things go bad, they will take the money that they have in their bank, and they'll purchase stocks that are there and help maintain the financial balance to keep things rolling. And what's really kind of stupid in a lot of ways, the Lehman Brothers was around since the days of cotton, and they just threw them under the bus. And they maybe it's because they were from the South, because there's always been a Yankee Southern dichotomy anyway. There was 75% of the taxes that supported the federal government before the Civil War was paid for by the people that were the nobility that were down south, and there was an economic war. But no, right now, there was a braking system. It was like on an elevator. There's an automatic thing that'll scrunch the cable and utilize the coefficient of friction and maintain that the elevator does not hit the bottom. It's like it would if it didn't have that. And I think these banks, the investment banks, and some of these companies that do that, they keep the money, they have it in their possession just for that reason. And then you got this guy like Bernie Madoff. He made off with all the money, didn't he? But and I was listening to the radio. He made off with the money. He's the one that's taking the fall. But there's a bunch of other people that were involved in that scam. 2 guys that worked for the SEC that knew exactly what was going on. And there's a whole bunch of other people, and who knows who the actual real manipulator behind the scenes that was in charge of that scheme. because it's not 50 billion, it's actually 63 billion or 64 billion is what's been missing. And so he's taking the fall for everybody else, and he's just going to he's going to take the fall, and I'm sure that his family will be taken care of. And I'm sure, I mean, for all we know, it could be somebody in the government that knows.
The rest of his money, he won't tell me. He says, I listen to you. He said bonds are the best buy. So what money he got, he pulled it all out and put it into bonds. Bonds are like 401ks.
You never know. They can go south too.
No money until you sell the stock.
That's right.
And the way this goddamn country is going is if they're never going to get back. I said, anybody that thinks it's going to get back, I says, I look back 16 years, and it's been going just downhill for the last 16 goddamn years.
Well, that's because we've had people been stealing the money.
Check for $500,000.
People have been stealing the money. I mean, look at all the Democratic contributions that were made from Bernie Mac and Fannie Mae.
You buy bonds because the government needs the money
to
pay off those rich bastards so they can make those big bonus payments.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, the guy that's a CEO, was put there by the Democrats. They installed him, and now then Schumer's pretty much talking about, like Rush calls him Chucky Schumer. He's telling these people that if they got
$1 million
that they can't keep
$1 million.
Yeah, but part of the
hey, that's more money than the President of the United States.
I know, but part of the situation for that was that they have contractual obligations, and they do that to keep their head people. And when you look at the amount of money that is involved, this is just like a grain of sand compared to what's going on. And they're getting those bonuses so they'll stay there and keep the thing rolling, because you need people that are smart enough to keep things going, or it's all going to go south. And when you got that Bernie Madoff that made off with the money, he's keeping his mouth shut. Nobody knows where that $64 billion is, but it's somewhere. It's somewhere overseas in the Cayman Islands or the Swiss banks or the banks of Liechtenstein. It's somewhere. Maybe they bought gold, but then you would know if they were buying gold. That money is somewhere. And they've kept. They got one guy that's in jail.
How the hell the United States owes China, according to the.
Of course they do. The Chinese.
$343 billion totally.
Because they've been buying defense.
$1 billion a day.
Yeah,
Where are they going to get the money?
I don't know. But I know that
they're going to get it from that outfit you're working for.
I think that. Remember, the Japanese bought federal bonds. The Chinese are buying because they get all this profit. They want to invest it somewhere. So why not invest it in America? Because then they'll own this much of America by the stocks they've owned, the 364 billion. They're sitting at the. You got to look at it like it's a poker table, and they're sitting at the table right now, and they've got a big pile of chips. And all the rest of these countries are sitting around that, and they have piles of chips. And it depends on how the thing is going, who's got the highest pile of chips. Right now, the Chinese have been buying up because they had to do something with all this humongous inflow of money they got from, and it was a good thing, converting a communist country into a capitalist country. And they have, the communist part of the country actually maintains the stability. This friend of mine's back in Buffalo, she was married to Phil Cook. Hope Hetzer, she was married to Walter Hetzer. She says that she was over in China, and she said the thing that the Chinese fear the most is chaos. So they've kept the Communist Party structure intact. So it's a control on the populace. It's like an initial dampener of keeping things from going chaotic, which is a good idea, actually. And so the Chinese have bought all those bonds, just, number one, so they'd have something as an investment.
Yeah, see that we're loaning that goddamn rebel country, Colombia, to fight drugs. We're loaning them the money to fight drugs, and that's where all the drugs are coming from.
Of course, the CIA's been selling the drugs for
we're
years.
Loaning them money to fight
I know,
drugs.
it's all a scam. It's all blue smoke and smears. Jimmy Breslin came out with a book called Blue Smoke and Mirrors, okay? And he said that if I'm sitting there at a table talking with somebody about a golf game or a football game, and the person that I'm talking to is higher up on the totem pole of power than I am, just the perception of me talking to this person is going to give me gravitas, and I'll be considered more powerful than I really am. And it's all done by illusions. It's blue smoke and mirrors. And what's happening is we did a smart thing. We converted a communist monolith into a capitalist monolith, and now they're making a lot of money. We've got thanks to Jimmy Carter, that left-wing a-hole. Everybody says, oh, he's so good, it's my habitat and humanity. That son of a bitch eats shit as far as I'm concerned. He closed the fucking Panama Canal. Oh, we got to give it back to the Panamanians. There were no Panamanians. We built the canal. We own that canal. They got the Chinese at both ends of the canal. Costco's on the west end, and Costco, the Chinese military, is on the east end.
There's goddamn Mexican. Hey, you can buy it on the border down there in Tijuana. You used to go down there when you wanted drugs, cocaine.
It's all there, yeah.
You can buy it right at the border.
Well, it's the war on
As long as you have
the
money.
war on drugs is a big fucking fallacy, baby. I'll tell you what. It's fallacious as hell. It's a war on the people. It's a way to erode our bill of rights, just like the war on drunken drivers is.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they shouldn't have drunken drivers, but they've created.
California is probably the biggest country in the whole world, because Los Angeles, they were selling drugs right where I worked. I could buy them right in the plant.
Yeah.
Everybody had drugs.
Well, hell, there's drugs in the.
Because you couldn't make it on those goddamn wages.
That's right, and they've had cocaine for years. It was separated from the coca leaf. The coca leaf was something that was chewed by the Incas.
Heroin made it from poppies. California is a poppy country. The southern guy, you can buy heroin right at a drugstore.
Oh, sure. In England, you
legally.
can. You can eat in Britain today. You can still buy heroin over the counter.
I don't think
And if somebody's dying, they can mix up the Brompton's cocktail, which is a combination of opiates and some alcohol. So when somebody's at the point of passing into the spirit world from this world, they can make the transition a lot smoother for somebody. They give them a little cocktail and let them just kind of fall asleep, and then there they are, and their subconscious mind and their soul and their spirit leaves the body, and the body of all of us is left when we pass on. We don't disappear. We just pass on to the next level. You know that, and I know that.
Oh yeah, when I was up when I wanted drugs, where the Star Garage right across the street was a top hat. Just go in there and buy anything right across.
That was years ago.
Yeah.
I know.
The press club and the top hat. And then right next door, at the Salvation Army had a soup kitchen. You could buy it there too.
I'll be damned.
That's a big problem, I think, especially with kids.
Yeah, it is.
I don't understand. Now, of course, these goddamn Mexicans, they can walk across the border.
Well, there's some serious
They
problems
put
with.
them in jail for one day.
Well, there's been some serious border clashes between, and oddly enough, some of the stuff that we've given to the country, I think, has been appropriated by the cartels, because the Mexican cartels, the mafia there is really, is pretty much pretty hard-headed, and
high school,
they've got gangs in California and Los Angeles that are in the
two boys. They were selling drugs right in high school.
Oh, sure, that was going on.
On.
Hey, when my son first came here to school, he was going to Hellgate, and he'd been a sophomore. He told my wife that when he was there, he was offered a whole bunch of shit, pretty much anything you want. Some rich kid had some and was making some money selling it. I mean, this is something, it's been going on for a while.
That Project 100.
This is back in the 80s.
They kicked them both out, and they had a school down there on Front Street called Project 100.
Uh-huh.
That was for druggies.
Oh, I believe it. Well, years ago, I talked to a 19-year-old waitress at Denny's. I used to go there before I'd go to work at Norco. And she told me that when she was in school, the only thing that the kids were doing was they were smoking a little bit of reefer and maybe consuming a little bit of mushrooms. both hallucinogenic. But she says now everybody's doing methamphetamine, which is just kills you. It's not even the real methamphetamine. It's made from all this caustic crap that creates sores and shit, and people have to keep doing it and smoking it and shooting it because it doesn't really work like the other crystal meth did, which was invented by the Germans to keep the pilots awake when they were flying those diesel engines on the Messerschmitts. Did you know that Gordon Liddy talked about the Royal Air Force Museum had a Messerschmitt dive bomber in there, and they decided, Rolls-Royce said, well, we'll take this down and we'll go through it because it's been hanging there for X number of years, since the 40s. And so at the end of the deal, they overhauled the engines and everything, and they said, we, at this time, with the machinery that we have, we cannot achieve the tolerances that were done by the Germans during the World War II. That's pretty interesting statistic. And so the Germans invented amphetamine. Matter of fact, that's what they, and Bayer and I.G. Farben, who provided the Zyklon gas for the Holocaust in the death camps, were owned as a subsidiary of the Rockefeller Corporation. The Rockefeller Corporation never got bombed by anybody. It was the only business that nobody touched because it was owned by the Rockefellers. And they figured out they could, instead of everything is based up until World War II, was based on the drugs, the natural drugs. And they could synthesize some of the natural drugs, the herbs and so forth. But when they discovered that they could license something by making it in the lab, like amphetamine, they can patent that, and then they can own the rights to it for a significant amount of time. And that's what's happened to our medicine. Our doctors are not learning medicine. They're being turned into shills by the pharmaceutical industry, who contribute major amounts of money to every medical school in America. Every one of them.
Well, I told you about my surrogate's son, John Hill. He worked down there at that bar.
Yeah.
Right across her.
I know the one you mean, yeah. I know the one.
And he was selling cocaine. So one day he gave me a packet about 1 ounce, and I went in the boys' restroom. They had the urinal was a water heater that had been cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
I sniffed on that, and my nose started bleeding, and I was hanging on there. And my goddamn
It was probably
nose
pure. It
running
wasn't
blood
cut.
right
Yeah.
in the urinal.
It was pure coke, I'm guessing.
That was the best thing that ever happened. Cocaine, I don't want nothing to do with it. And
Yep.
heroin is worse, but you can't. It's hard to get now because it's.
Oh, there's got China
We don't have any
white. You know what?
puppies in Montana.
There's the Chinese triads have been producing China white, which is like taking, turning the opium poppy, opium into heroin. They have their own labs, and it's China white, and it's coming through, because the one thing that the Red Chinese do, they like to influence our country in a negative manner. In other words, turn people into junkies. That's not a productive person. That's just another person that they can get, that's going to be jonesing on China white. And there was some kid that thought he could sell China white. He came to school here. He's from New York, and they busted him here because there's been no China white here. They get that black tarry crap that comes up from Mexico and the West Coast here usually. But
When I was going to high school,
yeah.
you could buy drugs anywhere.
Oh hell yes!
County
When
high
they
school.
built the Erie Canal, they had cocaine. I used to take my kids when I take my son on after the divorce. I'd take him to different museums, and there was a big museum of history in Buffalo, right next to the Albright Gallery and Albright Knox, and they actually showed paraphernalia and talked about the little pouches that people would carry from the cocaine that were hanging out in Canal Street. Canal Street was basically where all the people that worked building the Erie Canal, which is the Erie Canal going from the Great Lakes all the way to down to the Hudson River and so forth, was a pretty major hand done endeavor. It was quite fascinating, and so they isolated cocaine from the cocoa leaf. The cocoa leaf originally was chewed by the Inca Indians because of the altitude. They needed to have oxygen, and it helps metabolize their body so that it can stand the high altitudes with minimal oxygen. And they have it's got a lot of vitamin B's and a lot of alkaloids and flavonoids and just cocaine is just one of those. And they were able to isolate that from the cocoa leaf. The cocoa leaves have been around since forever. And they're never going to stop. I mean, the government's never going to stop. It's all a crock of bullshit anyway, because everybody's making money on the drug trade. The CIA was making money on the drug trade when those stupid left-wing assholes in Congress said, well, we can't have any Contras fighting the communists in Nicaragua. That's not cool. We got to vote against any kind of military assistance because they're left-wing and we're left-wing too. And so the CIA had no other choice but to get the money to buy the arms, to give to the Contras, to keep it from turning south, going into a total communist country. They started with money and cocaine. Hell, Bill Clinton, when he was governor, was part of that situation because the Mina airport was where the cash used to fall down, and sometimes bales of drugs would fall down. And people would, if somebody saw a bale of either one of those things dropping anywhere near them, they ran like hell so nobody'd know they saw it. But that's neither here nor there. There was the arm and the CIA and the mafia have been working together forever, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care. It was Lucky Luciano that helped us get through the Nazis into Sicily in World War II. And every guy that I knew that was in the mafia was a damn patriotic American. And then they got the bozos in the FBI. They just sit there, and now they haven't got any really hard mustachio Pete's. They're all third generation educated people. The FBI's been able to overcome the Omerta oath, and just for their own little aggrandizement, they've been busting them. What happens? They bust the mafia. And what happens? We got the Chinese mafia, we get the Russian mafia, we get the Colombian mafia, we get the Cuban mafia. We should just left the American mafia the hell alone, because once you took rid of them, it created a power vacuum. The mafia, if they had somebody that they didn't, if you dealt with the mafia, you knew damn well you better be honest, like that line by Bob Dylan. If you're going to live outside the law, you have to be honest. And these Johnny-come-lately cartels will go chase somebody into a mall and shoot maybe 20 people just to get one person. The mob never did that. The mob would always take out somebody that was stupid enough to screw them up. That's one of the reasons Kennedy was assassinated, because Joe Kennedy was a banker to the mob. He got a favor from Sam Gianca, who had controlled the unions in Virginia. He got JFK through the primaries, and then Cook County, Giancana ran Cook County in Chicago. He got the election for that, and Nixon knew that, and he said, no, the election's over, we're going to call it a day. But you know what the problem was? Joe Kennedy should have taken little Bobby Kennedy, who was this rabid little dog. He should have put him in his den and talked to him and told him the facts of life, because you do not screw around with the mafia after they've helped you. That's exactly why he died.
Just tell me the other day that Oregon, Bend, Oregon, all of Oregon, they bring those drugs up the Columbia River.
Oh, hell yes.
Everybody sells drugs.
Oh, yeah. The biggest cash crop right now in the West Coast is marijuana.
Wages so you can live on your wages.
That's right. And they're trying to convert the farmers down in...
goddamn kale.
It's all a crock of
He must
bullshit.
have made his money on that Pearl Harbor for $48 an hour, but he was on it for 4 years.
Yeah, but he was doing pretty
He got
good.
4 brand new cars. His wife wrecked that car because she backed up
Oh, jeez.
and hit a curb and busted the back axle. Those Honda axles are only 3/4 of an inch.
That's not good.
That was right downtown in Missoula.
Well, you know what I see in the parking lot a lot of times that's really sad? All the cars are made of plastic. because I see like corners of vehicles. It's like maybe Missoula drinks and goes home. I'm not sure, but you can see a lot of really nice new cars that are missing the corners, and you look behind and you just see all this steel behind, or maybe it's not even steel, behind the plastic. But getting back to the communists and the 364 million, they bought that because number one, they needed some place to put the money so it would work for them, and they got an interest on it. And it also gave them a little bit of control over us. And they really know, they realize that we can't go down. If we go down, they're going down.
That Ford service car, that cost him $38,000. That white truck that's parked out there.
Oh, I know. Isn't it ridiculous?
That's things. And I said, well, I want to know how many dollars worth of parts. And he says, fill that up. It cost me around $12,000 in circuit breakers and all that stuff.
Well,
Right
yeah, I know. I don't even want to talk about it.
He's starting to operate out of it a little bit.
Well, that's good. He probably did pretty good. I might hire him to come up and do some work for me.
He's been going to a shrink and he's moved back with his wife. Now,
That's good.
I think she's another hooker.
Well, didn't you tell me at one time they're all hookers?
Yeah.
In one stages away?
Well, this guy's working for her, like Steve's brother-in-law is married to his wife's sister. He's doing all these high-rise buildings, like 5 stories. Now he can build up to 25 stories
Here? Oh, he can.
legally.
Oh,
He's been working about 2 hours a day.
well, good for him.
The money they charge is just about all you have to do.
Well, he's a nice kid. I like him. I remember you were over here in the house, and I was over there talking, visiting with him while he was cleaning the kitchen.
That's a divorce deal.
And you know what he said? He said, my grandpa's letting me stay here, and I'm here so I can help him clean up this apartment that was trashed, and I'm not charging him anything, and he's not charging me anything, and I'm helping my granddad out. And I said, well, that's a very nice thing to do. And he said, I know that he needed the help, and as soon as I get the apartment finished, I'm probably going to move out. And I said, well, that's too bad that you're going to move out, but that's understandable. And I saw him taking care of his kids. Keith, let me tell you one thing. I saw him taking care of his children, and I'll tell you what, he was like an angel taking care of those kids. He wasn't an asshole like a lot of people are when they have to deal with the kids. Your grandson took those kids over and treated them right.
I want to keep him in there because he put in a new heating system. It's goddamn hot in there now. They got upstairs complaining about the heat.
Jeez, I'll be damned.
This is when he bought down there. It was a 3-phase. Boy, when you turn it on, you got instant heat.
You got to have the.
His bill has only been about $10. But see, the damn Indians, they left the heat on all the time with the windows and doors open.
And stuff burned out.
I don't know why I even talk about those Indians. They're all alike. I've had a lot of Indians in my lifetime, and they're all alike.
No, that's not true. There's.
The only people that are worse is those miners in Butte. They're Irish and Polacks.
Yeah, they had a lot of Polacks in Buffalo. Well, a lot of my good friends are
I
Polacks.
was going over there to St. Pat's, but I knew I couldn't ask you because you're something going on. There's no use of talking to you about going somewhere.
Most of the time, I'm busy working.
Pinned down. I've probably got somebody tailgating you.
What I got is I got a job and I have a wife, and I have 4 kids.
You don't drink.
No, I don't drink.
That beer over there, they make it right there.
You know, I used to drink, okay? And right now, I could be enough of an asshole when I'm sober. When I drink, I turn into a major asshole. And to be honest with you, I don't want to be that person. I'll have an occasional beer at home when I know I'm not driving anywhere. Sometimes I get
one of those Irish dinners.
well. Sometimes I get stress angina and I get this pain in my chest where it's kind of clenching up. And what I do is I'll go grab a beer and drink it, and it relaxes me. They say you should have a certain amount of alcohol to eliminate stress, and I don't really drink any alcohol too much. I have a beer now and then. It probably wouldn't hurt if I drank some red wine, because red wine's good for you. Has flavonoids and stuff that's very beneficial.
Yeah, I try to get
You know,
more
my dad,
vegetarian,
did I ever tell you about
stuff,
my dad? My dad,
cabbage and stuff.
did I ever tell you about my dad? His name was Helmer J. Kohlberg. His father, John Joseph Kohlberg, and his mother, Helga Kohlberg, they came into America through Ellis Island. My dad was born in Minnesota, Hibbing, Minnesota. And Hibbing or Henning, I can't remember. That's what he used to say when we go through the border check on the Peace Bridge between Canada and Buffalo. My dad invented the rotary lawnmower. He took 4 wheels, a box, and he found a sickle, a hay mower, and he balanced the center point, and he pushed it around the yard, and he was able to clip the grass that way. He was the primary inspector on the first bomber that Boeing built, and I think the first Boeing bomber was the B-17. If I'm mistaken, I'm probably wrong. But my mom told me that he was the primary inspector on the prototype for the first Boeing bomber. And he was very smart. He tried to enlist, but he had a broken eardrum because when he was a kid, he went and swam in the tower where they used to run the water to the steam engines against his mom's advice, and he got typhoid fever, and he lost one of his eardrums. But he was smart. He met Larry Hansen at Boeing, and Larry Hansen was the pilot that flew General Eisenhower around the Eastern Theater operations in World War II. He met Larry Hansen, and Larry Hansen gave him a franchise because the guy that was running the New York franchise was making his own couplings. The couplings that Hansen invented were your basic garden couplings first, and then they went to the one-way shutoff, which is on every gas station in America when they do the tools, the air tools. And then my dad, the HK was the Hansen Kohlberg. It was the two-way shutoff, and you can see that coupling, the hydraulic coupling, on every snowplow in America. Well, my dad was helping the people at Hanford during the Manhattan Project. He used to help the engineers. That's how he made his living, helping the engineers. He was smarter than them. My father would have been a really smart lawyer. He earned money, and he lost it in a poker game, and he went and became a businessman. But that's neither here nor there. He was at Hanford consulting with all the people there so that they could, because they were using hydraulics and water for the coolant and so forth. And he was exposed to radiation, and he died in 75. And my mom told me that she saw a PBS special that said anybody that worked at Hanford, 30 years later, they die of multiple myeloma cancer, and that's what my dad died of. So I consider my father a casualty veteran of World War II because he did his part, and actually what he did his part, he gave his life 30 years later, and God bless him. His name is Helmer J. Kohlberg, and God bless him for his work. And I was a complete asshole when I was a kid, and it was like Mark Twain said, when I was young, I thought my father didn't know anything, but as I got older, he got smarter.
He is, right.
My dad was what the guy,
And after listening to you, at least I got a good attitude.
You got a damn good attitude.
I feel pretty good because I got $700 over for the last 2 weeks, actually.
Well, that's a good
That's
thing.
damn good money.
Well, that's damn good money.
He doesn't, he ain't on the IRS. If I was on the IRS, they'd take half of that out.
We don't have to talk about that anyway.
I figured out you're losing your ass when you have to pay that $3. But you ain't smart enough to figure out how to get around it because you ain't working for the right guy.
Well, you got to be not working for anybody to get
Anybody
around.
works out there, they have their head up their ass. I can prove it. You're a classic example. You know,
Why
you
is
know
that?
what's going on because you don't read the paper.
I read it every day. I read it every day if I can. That I can.
The Wall Street Journal is the last 2 pages on back.
I know. I read that.
All the big stocks are going down every day.
I know. It's
a sad
sad.
deal.
Well, you know, Charles Schwab has got it right. If you got stock and it's going up and it's going down, don't sell it when it's down. Just hold on to it and wait for it to go higher. And if it goes south and it's low, it's not going to matter.
Hey, how much longer do you think that Social Security can hold out? Stevie,
Till they stop
I told
stealing.
you, he just got a check from his dad. He had that fund.
Yeah.
And he put money in. He got that check was $900. I don't know anybody gets a check.
Who got
like
that?
He just got one.
Who did?
Steve, that guy Tail, his dad just died.
Oh, that's because his dad died.
This
He got his dad's Social
is a
Security.
separate fund, and he'll
Yeah.
get that check as long as he lives.
Yeah.
His dad paid into that. See, when he sold that mine over in Virginia City, he says he got $4 million. He put it in that fund.
Oh, sure.
Hey, but nobody lives like
What's
him.
happened if?
He don't cook at home. He takes them out to dinner every night.
Oh, why? With his money, why should he cook at all?
3 kids and his wife.
Then why should they cook? And she doesn't want to, I don't think. You know what, Keith? You're one of the people that I've met. Well, I think I've known you for 10 years, and you're one of the smartest guys, if not the smartest guy that I know, because you've been through everything, and you tell me stuff, and I talk to you about stuff, and we both agree, and sometimes we both disagree. But you are like a grandfather image to me, because my grandfather passed away back in the 70s. Willard P. Willis. He ran a dairy in Plains. His father he was born on a ranch in Plains. His father wanted him to go into politics. He didn't want to get involved in dirty politics. He just was a regular good old boy. He sold insurance, and when people didn't have a premium, he'd pay for it for them till they had some money, and then they wouldn't lose their insurance. And God bless him, he ran a dairy, and I remember when I was a kid, riding behind the tractor, and watching him milk the cow, and he'd say, "Hey, fart in the bucket, open your mouth," and he'd grab the teat of the cow and he'd squirt the milk into my open mouth. And he was a hell of a guy. And his son, Willard P. Willis Jr., went to Bozeman and studied chemistry, and he worked for Monsanto all his life. He made good money. Very smart. My mom, she went to Bozeman and took some courses and geared towards being a housewife.
There's all this mess going on. I just found out in the last month that he's been married. I'm talking about Phil Benson. He's been married 5 times. His first 3 wives are over to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Then the 4th one is my daughter, and this other one lives over here in Kale. After his dad died 2 weeks ago, he was over there living in that basement apartment. And she's a first-class hooker. She's got a shop down in Lolo. This is a fellow cop. My sister ain't my biggest problem. She comes over. Hey, his surviving wife comes over here and checks on them about once a week.
I'll be darned.
She's a neat gal. Most hookers are.
Hey.
Anybody can assure you.
You know what I think? I think that the lawyers and the bankers and some of the real estate corporations and the major corporations are all the biggest whores in America.
And that's his daughter, right there, the one in the middle.
Yep.
She lives in Hayden Lake. That's right next to Coeur d'Alene. That's Bendy, and that's Kale on the right.
And that's Sharon on the left.
Yeah. She's got 2 beautiful kids, and she's working for a Catholic college in Spokane. They just give her a big raise.
All right.
She started at 17,000. They just raised it up to 27. She's a hell of a gal. She got anorexia though. She don't eat. They bought a nice house in Hayden Lake. Is parallel ones north and south. It's just a lake right in the middle of Coeur d'Alene. And that's a separate town. It's to the east of Coeur d'Alene. But I didn't know that Phil had all these extra wives that he got. He only got, as long as he's ever been married, it's 3 years. He was married to my daughter 3 years.
Well, good for him. I remember seeing him at your.
She's a smart gal too.
Yeah. I remember him.
Hayden Lake is a neat town.
Well, I remember him telling
Kind of like living in the bar versus Missoula.
telling his drunk guy to let his son.